We've got brand new reporting on those missing Secret Service text messages that the January 6th committee is still looking for. According to The Guardian, top career officials in the DHS, Inspector General's office, had prepared a memo for Congress back in April, alerting them of the lost texts and consequent obstruction by the Secret Service. However, The Guardian reports that the Inspector General, Trump appointee Joseph Kafari, withheld that notification to Congress, possibly violating federal disclosure requirements. In July, Kafari informed Congress that key Secret Service messages on or before January 6th were deleted. He failed to disclose to Congress that his office knew about the deleted emails since last December. A spokesperson for the Secret Service claimed that this was all part of a long-planned system migration. The Inspector General has opened a criminal investigation into the missing Secret Service texts. Some Democrats are dubious of the investigation, given the Inspector General's previous lack of transparency. Joining me now is Hugo Lowell, congressional reporter for The Guardian and the winner of the Sandy Hume Memorial Award for Excellence in Political Journalism by the National Press Club. Congratulations. That was just announced today. Hugo, let's just break this down. First off, what actually is it that people are asking of Kafari that he hasn't done? What is it that he supposedly should have done before and should be doing now that he hasn't done?
Yeah, so the Inspector General Act is actually very clear. If there's an instance of obstruction or resistance, or even a significant delay of release of information to an Inspector General, they are supposed to report that, whether to Congress or to another oversight body. And in this instance, top career officials at the DHS and Office of Inspector General were having real difficulty trying to get the Secret Service to give up their text messages. And so, in anticipation of putting this in a report to Congress, they kind of put this all in a memo and they sent it off to the Chief of Staff, to Kafari. And then when they expected to see this in the report, it never arrived. And when they went back and looked, they found that the memo had died when it reached the Chief of Staff to Kafari. And so I think there's a whole new set of evidence here to suggest that Kafari and political appointees at the top of the Department of Homeland Security's Inspector General office potentially interfered with this notification.
Hugo, if I just run through Kafari's resume, this guy was appointed by Trump in 2018. He lied about having a PhD in philosophy. He helped suppress information about family separation under the Trump administration. There are members of Congress that have been calling for him to be removed. Why does this guy even still have the job? Why would an administration investigating an attempted coup keep an Inspector General from the president, the former president, who tried to initiate the coup?
Look, the only person who can remove Kafari, if he wanted to, is President Biden. And I think, the reason why Biden hasn't moved on this is partly because on the campaign trail, he made this big promise about how he was going to keep the independence of inspectors general. And, this goes back to the fact that Trump repeatedly removed inspectors general for political partisan reasons. Now, in this case, it seems to be potentially warranted because Kafari is withholding things from Congress that he should be reporting, and this seems to be a performance issue rather than a political issue. But ultimately, that's a question for Joe Biden, and I don't think anyone else can really answer to that.
So these text messages, I want to make sure that we get to this clearly. The text messages are important to the January 6th committee. Why specifically? One, because are they primarily concerned about possible people who are working with the coup within the Secret Service? Are they simply trying to find out what almost happened to Mike Pence? Do they think it's directly connected to other potential crimes? What do you think is the key thing that the January 6th committee wants to know from these missing text messages?
Yeah, so I spoke to a couple of sources on the committee, and one of the things they're really looking at is what the Secret Service was planning with respect to moving Trump and Pence on January 6th, because we know through Alex Jones and other far-right activists that they were going around saying Secret Service are telling us to lead a march to the Capitol. Now, if that really is true, that probably wouldn't have been sanctioned by anyone other than Trump, and the Secret Service wouldn't need to know that. And so the question is, was this an actual thing? Was there any cooperation between these far-right activists and the White House and potentially the Secret Service? And the January 6th committee seems to think that if there's any way to get to the bottom of that, maybe the text messages cast a light on that potential cooperation. And so I think they're trying really hard now to see if they can reconstruct those text messages. And Benny Thompson, the committee chair, has spoken to Secretary Mayorkas now at least twice, I'm told, to try and facilitate the transfer of records.
Hugo Lowell, thank you so much for that report. We're going to be following up on this story very quickly.